Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. We just have to tell you, we are so excited to see a full house this morning. This rarely happens. We have our librarians with us, the sheriff's office, our fire departments are here as well. Lots of community members, and as you know, we've got a packed agenda. So we're so grateful to you for taking time out of your morning. Our DA is here as well. So, and our Board of Trustees from the Jeffco Public Library. So again, on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, welcome. Always great to see our sheriff as well, feeling extra safe this morning. So thank you for being here. Let's call to order our Jeffco Board of County Commissioners meeting for April 8th, 2025. I'm Jefferson County Commissioner Leslie Dahlkemper, here with Commissioner Zenzinger and Commissioner Kerr. Our clerk this morning is Katie La Liberté, and our host is Anna Zendejas. Ms. Zendejas will handle requests for public comment and public testimony sign up in the chat for those of you who are joining us virtually. There are several ways to join our hybrid meeting, all of which are listed on our website at jeffco.us. You're always welcome to reach out to the Board of County Commissioners at the county's website at jeffco.us, or you can email us at commish@jeffco.us. We'd also like to ask everyone to just take a moment, if you would, and silence your phones. I am going to do that as well. And we'd next like to ask you to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are very excited to also have Jeffco Public Health with us today. Tremendous team. I see Dr. Story and her team as well. Thank you so much for being here. Commissioners, please join me at the dais below. We have 3 proclamations that we'd like to share with you. Well, we want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to join national efforts of recognizing National Crime Victims' Rights Week. That week is April 6th to the 12th, and this week is dedicated to learning about victimization, the effect victimization has on individuals, families, friends, and the community, and promoting laws, policies, and programs to help victims of crime. This week, we honor the strength and resilience of crime victims and survivors across our nation. Their courage inspires us to advocate for justice, healing, and support. While National Crime Victims' Rights Week is a national event, we are particularly proud to honor the strength and resiliency of victims and service providers in the Jefferson County community. Now, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Kerr.
Thank you, and good morning. This year's theme, How Would You Help? Options, Services, and Hope for Crime Survivors, is a call to action for us all to create safe environments for crime victims to share what happened to them. By doing so, we're able to offer support, options for life-saving services, and most importantly, hope. Since 1981, National Crime Victims' Rights Week has challenged the nation to confront and remove barriers to achieving justice for all victims of crime. During National Crime Victims' Rights Week, we celebrate the accomplishments of the victims' rights movement and reflect on how far we've come. Before Commissioner Zenzinger reads the proclamation, I'd like to invite Sheriff Marinelli and District Attorney King to join us and say a few words.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. Thank you to the commissioners for this proclamation. We appreciate your outstanding support for this very worthy cause. Since 1981, National Crime Victims' Rights Week has challenged the nation to confront and remove barriers to achieve justice for all victims of crime. We have come a long way, but there is more road ahead of us. This year's national theme is kinship, which is a call to action to recognize that shared humanity should be at the center of supporting all survivors and victims of crime. Kinship is a state of being with survivors that drives vital connections to services, rights, and healing. Kinship is where victim advocacy begins. What is it like to be the victim of a crime? There are a variety of feelings and emotions that a victim may go through, such as a pervasive sense of helplessness, loss of control, pessimism, negative thinking, strong feelings of guilt, shame, self-blame, and depression. This way of thinking can lead one to hopelessness and despair. I read somewhere recently that being the victim of a crime may poison the mind. I reflect on this statement and I think about how a person with no effort of their own becomes a victim, and because of what another person chooses to do to them, they become traumatized by the actions against them, and it is described as a poisoning of the mind. That's a pretty strong statement. One's mind has several capacities encompassing both conscious and unconscious states. Once a person becomes a victim, they must live with a new sense of who they are, never going back to who they were prior to the criminal episode. It reshapes one's life and the world around them. This important week recognizes crime victim rights, brings to the attention of all of us that we must recognize and work toward helping others to balance their experiences and learn how to take those steps forward from the sometimes vicious acts of others. We must ensure our victims are treated fairly, with dignity and respect, and have all the information necessary to get them through the criminal justice process. May God bless the victims, and may God bless the advocates that work every day to make sure our victims are educated, supported, and empowered to understand the processes they must face with an effort to get them to the point of healing. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Alexis King, and I'm the district attorney here in Jefferson and Gilpin counties. Sometimes we are only talking to the small group of humans that make up the support system for victim advocates. There are some very new faces in this crowd this year, and I just want to thank all the firemen who appear to be joining us for this morning's proclamation, and others, and the health department. It's lovely to have you, because when we started with this theme of kinship, I have to tell you, I thought, oh my gosh, what does the DA's office offer in regards to kinship? And it's really the network that we belong to. It's the people that we know who to call, the friends that we reach out to when we get home. And we need every survivor to feel as though they have that net around them as well, to ensure the support and safety that they deserve. I, like the sheriff, reflect on how victim advocacy plays into that role. When we think about kinship, we must think about how we strengthen each other as we do this work, and also how we strengthen victims who are going through the process. Whether that's through the criminal process, through a civil divorce process, through so many processes that aren't actually built for victims and survivors of crime. For those of us in this room, the connection can go beyond advocacy to be the driving force behind our actions. It helps us to compel others and ourselves to uphold the rights that victims are afforded here in the state of Colorado, especially the right to dignity, fairness, and respect. All of us work towards that every day, and I'd like to share some numbers from our office. In 2024, we worked on 3,897 cases that qualified under Colorado's Victims' Rights Act and impacted over 6,000 victims in our community. Among them were over 1,600 domestic violence victims, including 674 children who were witnesses to these crimes. A response that we did not have in our community before Porchlight really built up its net and its kinship among our community. The gravity of these cases cannot be underestimated as they ripple through each and all of us who do this work. Our office is committed to ensuring that these victims have a voice. In 2024, we also received 2,853 victim impact statements. You say, what's a victim impact statement? Well, it's often the most direct communication a victim has with a court about what happened to them, how it impacted them, and how a judge can see what happened through their eyes. It's just a single piece of paper. Sometimes victims carry it around with them from the first day they get it till years later. Sometimes they fill it out the first day they get it. Sometimes they don't want to touch it. And it's because they're waiting to feel like they can fill out that form. We all know that our ability to support victims is directly tied to our ability to provide resources. I might sound like a broken record, but I think it's worth reminding everyone that crime victim funding across the state of Colorado is going down. Nationally, we do not have a fix for it. And so I just ask everyone who works with victims of crime every day to remember that when you have the opportunity to advocate for the funding that sustains us, to also lift your voice as we advocate for victims together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Marinelli and DA King. Now, the proclamation. Whereas, in 1982, the President's Task Force on Victims of Crime envisioned a national commitment to a more equitable and supportive response to victims. And whereas the concept of kinship underscores the connections that build bridges to support, services, and shared strength among survivors, advocates, and communities. And whereas kinship is the foundation of victim advocacy, inspiring trauma-informed care that meets survivors where they are. And whereas kinship we build peer networks and community alliances that empower survivors, foster resilience, and offer pathways to healing. And whereas kinship reminds us of the strength that comes from connection, the importance of listening to every voice, and the power that we have to create lasting change when we work together. Whereas Jefferson County is hereby dedicated to amplifying the voices of survivors and creating an environment where survivors have the confidence that they will be heard, believed, and supported. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Jefferson County Board of Commissioners of the state of Colorado that the week of April 6th to 12th, 2025 be declared Crime Victims' Rights Week in the county.
And we have a proclamation to present, and we'd like to invite the sheriff's team, the DA's team, our victim advocates who are with us today, and any others who would like to join us for a group picture to show support for this important event. Thank you. Come on up.
Yeah, we can. I know. I was trying to see if we could maybe have them come up behind, but.
We'll take just a moment before we shift to National Library Week. I know, so we should really ask Andy. Is it still warm in here too?
I do now.
No.
The room's full of like 98.7 degree temperatures.
Right. Thanks again to everyone who joined us for National Victims Week. We're going to move now to our second proclamation of the week. And our second proclamation today is for National Library Week. And we recognize National Library Week April 6th through the 12th. It's a very busy week with lots of wonderful events to celebrate. Libraries inspire our love of reading, learning, and creating. And we are incredibly proud of the work that the Jeffco Public Library System does on behalf of our community. They help to build an educated and vibrant community by providing equal access to information and opportunities. Libraries provide free and easy access to knowledge and entertainment. They provide our community with books and videos, access to emerging technologies, programming for kids, teens, and adults, and an array of resources and materials. Libraries provide a warm and welcoming environment where all generations can team up on projects, connect with other members of the community, or just sit and have a peaceful moment to read. JCPL offers safe spaces and fosters inclusion through their robust community engagement and outreach initiatives. And I just have to go off script for a moment because as we've seen across our nation, a tremendous rise in book banning, and those books that are banned typically target the most vulnerable members of our community, whether it's transgendered, LGBTQ, persons of color, people of color, and more. So we are grateful to the thought and the care and the deep work that our Jeffco Public Library System does to ensure that every single resident of our community belongs and is reflected in the books and materials that are on our library shelf. So thank you for your work.
The library continues to contribute a wide selection of materials focusing on patron interest, creative technologies, digital literacy services, school and workforce readiness programming that helps our young people develop skills for early adulthood, small business support, and financial literacy initiatives. These efforts and many more have enhanced the lives of Jefferson County residents by providing them with even more opportunities to connect, discover, and create. During this week, Jeffco residents are encouraged to visit their library and celebrate the adventures and opportunities that they unlock for us every day. Before Commissioner Kerr reads the proclamation, I'd like to invite Donna Walker, Executive Director for Jefferson County Public Library, to come up and say a few words.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Donna Walker, Executive Director for Jefferson County Public Library. On behalf of the Jefferson County Public Library Board of Trustees and our JCPL staff, I want to thank the County Commissioners for proclaiming this week National Library Week, celebrating the important role libraries and library staff play in our community and promoting the use and support of public libraries. At JCPL, our vision is to be an essential destination where all generations connect, discover, and create. And I'd like to share how we are meeting that vision. Jeffco is a community of readers. In 2024, JCPL hit a historic 10 million in library collection use, 6.5 million of which were physical items. In 2024, we welcomed nearly 2 million people through our physical doors. Close to 250,000 people joined us at almost 8,000 programs that we offered. Our Book a Librarian program served more than 2,000 people in one-on-one appointments throughout our county. Patrons used our hold lockers to access 50,000 items, and our call center answered 60,000 calls. People still call. We are so pleased with this demonstrated use of JCPL as it confirms the important role that library staff, library facilities, services, and materials continue to play in our community. As a publicly funded library, JCPL is committed to defending the constitutional rights of individuals of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities to use the resources and services of public libraries. We champion and defend the freedom to speak, the freedom to publish, and the freedom to read as promised by the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. We stand opposed to censorship and any effort to coerce belief, suppress opinion, or punish those whose expression does not conform to what is deemed to be orthodox in history, politics, or belief. The unfettered exchange of ideas is essential to the preservation of a free and democratic society. Finally, speaking on behalf of library workers everywhere, it gives us great pleasure to be of service. Our fulfillment comes from seeing the impact our work has on individuals in our community, and my special gratitude to Team JCPL for their dedication to serving Jefferson County. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Walker. I would like to point out that those numbers where she's talking about millions and thousands, Commissioner Dahlkemper accounts for about 10% of those numbers by herself. So, and she has the social media posts to back it up too. So, I'd also just like to mention Saturday, we had a wonderful town hall at the Evergreen Library. Very welcomed by the staff up there. Wonderful community town hall. Brian Keating was there helping to present on wildfire. We had Mike or Brian Conway from the insurance director of insurance there as well, talking about issues that are very important to that community. And it's great when the community members feel safe to come and talk to their elected officials, and just appreciate one other reason why libraries are important in our community. Now, the proclamation. Whereas National Library Week is an annual celebration highlighting the valuable role libraries, librarians, and library staff play in transforming lives and strengthening our communities. And whereas Jefferson County Public Library, JCPL, helps to build an educated and vibrant community by providing equal access to information and opportunities while creating libraries for the future throughout the country. And whereas JCPL seeks to reach and serve more people through strategic partnerships, alternative services, positive customer experiences, inclusion efforts, and robust community engagement and outreach. And whereas JCPL focuses on building literacies through patron interest-focused materials selection, creative technologies, digital literacy services, school and workforce readiness programming that helps our young people develop skills for early adulthood, small business support, and financial literacy initiatives. And whereas JCPL facilitates civic conversation, as I just mentioned, develops collaborative community discovery spaces, and serves as the place to be for out of school time and not to miss virtual and in-person events. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Jefferson County Board of Commissioners of the state of Colorado that April 6th through 12th, 2025 be declared as National Library Week in this county. And certainly we'd like to invite all of our librarians, our librarian board members, our all of our folks who take part in all of the services we've discussed as far as libraries to come up as we take a picture. Oh, there. There.
Join us both. Up here, and we've got more.
And we have steps to fill in here.
You could stand it. It's a little bit short. Squeeze in the space. Squeezed in. Okay. It was terrific. It was really great. We'll take her. Thanks so much to our incredible library team. Thank you for all you do for our community. We are very excited about our third and final proclamation, and this proclamation is for National Public Health Week, which is recognized April 7th through the 13th. Today, we celebrate the role of public health in protecting the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink. Public health is all about us, ensuring that everyone in Jefferson County has the opportunity for health. We've made incredible progress protecting access to clean drinking water, reducing smoking rates, and preventing what were common diseases with the arrival of vaccinations. And of course, we continue to watch that issue closely as we see an outbreak of measles in some states and a recent case in Colorado as well. Today, Jefferson County faces both new and ongoing health challenges. Illnesses we haven't seen in generations are emerging again. Issues such as mental health, economic freedom, and climate health, all critical. We are fortunate to have such a strong local public health team in our community to help tackle these issues and keep our communities safe. And we are dedicated as a Board of County Commissioners to continuing to work with you, especially in the face of what we see may be major changes in terms of federal funding. And we thank you so much for all that you do on behalf of our community. And next, I will turn it over to Commissioner Kerr.
Thank you. Today, public health faces new threats. The changing federal landscape clearly demonstrates just how much of our local public health needs have been historically supported by federal funding and partners. It's clear that Jefferson County needs and benefits from a strong, resilient local public health system that's able to address our community's needs. National Public Health Week isn't just a moment to celebrate those who would work to help us stay healthy. It's a call to action. Together, we can create communities where everyone has the chance to thrive. We thank Jefferson County Public Health for leading the charge in JeffCo, helping us be a healthier community. And before Commissioner Zenzinger reads the proclamation, I'd like to invite our Board of Health President, Lane Drager, to come up and say a few words.
Good morning. Lane Drager, President of the Boulder County, or Jefferson County. I used to work for Boulder County. I'm retired, thankfully, so you can see, Jefferson County Board of Health. Thank you so much for having us here, and thank you for those that have stayed. Jefferson County's work is definitely a community-based work, so I appreciate you all being here. Today, we recognize and celebrate National Public Health Week, a time to honor the work of public health professionals and the critical role of public health in creating healthier communities. The work of public health often is unseen. It's behind the scenes. Its impact is only visible to those who are doing that work often. So sadly, we're seeing some of the results of things that are not public health work. So when we stop doing immunizations, so it is so critical that we continue this work. This year's theme, Protecting, Connecting, and Thriving, We Are All Public Health, reminds us that public health is a shared responsibility and that every individual, family, and organization has a role to play. Investing in public health means investing in a stronger, more resilient future for everyone. We're very grateful to the commissioners. We are very fortunate in Jefferson County to have commissioners that are incredibly supportive of public health. That is not the case throughout this state and throughout this country, and so I don't take that for granted. So we very much appreciate them and their ongoing support and supporting the people and the systems that protect health in our community. I'm also joined by fellow board member Sarah Lampion. She has a few words to say as well.
Thank you, Lane. Yes, thank you all for joining. It is such an honor to be recognized in National Public Health Week along several of our partners that public health works with all of the time. We have worked historically with our Sheriff's Department. We have also worked a lot with our libraries in order to meet and work with the communities where they are most needed. So National Public Health Week really gives us an opportunity to both celebrate what public health does, but also celebrate the great partnerships that we have across the county. So we're excited to be recognized along some of our greatest partners in libraries in the Sheriff's Office and others, ensuring that we are meeting the needs of our community, creating a healthier community where we can be more equitable and more resilient across Jefferson County. Public health is not just responding to illness. Most people got an understanding of what public health was through COVID when we were in response mode. But in reality, most of public health is about prevention and really is about that prevention happening through policies that really are targeting and ensuring that we are meeting the needs of the most vulnerable and most marginalized in our communities and raising them up and their voices. It's also in promoting equity through programs like Nurse Family Partnerships and Family Connects, where we are going into communities, into members' homes and meeting their needs of the most and our newest Jefferson County residents. It's also through creating clean environments. So environments where we have our environmental health partners, our environmental health staff and department is really able to ensure that we have clean water, clean air, and spaces where we can actually go out and experience the great outdoors of Colorado in a healthy and safe way. Strong public health systems are built on the investment of a strong workforce, a workforce that is across all of our county departments, but also across the public health workforce itself. We are really built on the foundational capabilities of looking at and understanding policies, how we develop them, how we can spread them across and understand how health is part of all of our policies. And it also ensures that we are really looking at data and understanding where the trends are and how we're really responding to where the greatest needs. Health equity is really at the center of public health. It has become something that is almost, we really have been trained to not say it, but health equity really is a strong part of Jefferson County public health and what we believe in. We're committed to really addressing those barriers and ensuring that everyone has access to health wherever they live, work, play, or go to school. So thank you all again for being partners in public health. Whether you knew it or not, you are. Thank you to the commissioners for recognizing National Public Health Week. It is important for us to recognize this week, but for you to all remember every day that you are part of public health and we are part of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lane and Sarah, and thank you to the JCPH team and everyone in Jeffco who works to protect health across the county and for being here. Public health takes all of us working together to protect our own health and the health of our families, loved ones, neighbors, and friends. And tomorrow, we'll join you at the annual Public Health Champions Award. And I can't wait to meet and learn more about the amazing community partners who answer the call to address important health needs. Now, the proclamation. Whereas achieving health and well-being, well, should we call people up now or wait until after the proclamation? Okay, I'll do it after the proclamation. Start over. Whereas achieving health and well-being for all requires an intentional focus on equity, recognizing that not all communities have the same access to resources, opportunities, or support systems, and that systemic barriers must be addressed to ensure everyone has a fair opportunity to be as healthy as possible. And whereas to allow everyone to live a long and healthy life in a safe environment, we must address the root causes of poor health and disease risk within our communities, including the impact of past and present discrimination. And whereas a public health approach protects all people from chronic and infectious diseases through emergency preparedness, environmental protection, injury and violence prevention, and health promotion where we live, learn, work, worship, and play. And whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from health threats, including social and environmental conditions that harm health. And whereas public health employees are dedicated and hardworking professionals who care deeply about the people of this county and work tirelessly to ensure the best possible health for all. Whereas National Public Health Week is a nationwide movement to recognize the critical importance of public health and educate the public, policymakers, and partners about how public health keeps us safe. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Jefferson County Board of Commissioners of the State of Colorado that April 7th through the 13th, 2025, be declared as National Public Health Week in this county. Now, if we can have everyone come up so that we can take a photo with the proclamation. Dr. Story and her team.
Thanks again to everyone who joined us for our 3 proclamations this morning. Next on our agenda is public comment, and the board will take up to 15 minutes at the beginning of our meeting. We have another round of public comment at the very end as well. Public comment this morning is only for items that are not on the board's agenda. We'll begin with those who have signed up for public comment, followed by those who have not yet had an opportunity. We'll check to see if there's anyone else in the hearing room who would like to address the board during public comment. And for those of you who are joining us virtually this morning, please log into our meeting using a computer. Send a note in the chat to our host with your full name, your address, and the topic. And when it's your turn to speak, the host will unmute you. I have 3 people signed up this morning for public comment, and we may have more with us in the hearing room. So again, I'll double check as well as online. First up for public comment, we have, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly, Ari Rignalda. Oh, well, for a last name like Dahlkemper, you know, you never know, but welcome. and you're here to talk about fire suppression ponds. If you could share with us your address, and please spell your last name for us.
Absolutely. So it's Ari Ringnalda, Ringnalda, and it's 27626 Stagecoach Road in Conifer. And I do want to just take a minute to thank all of the incredible support relative to our physical protection, our health protection, intellectual inspiration. So thank you. I did not anticipate this when it was suggested that I table this here, but yeah, so about 2 years ago, Senate Bill 22114 was passed, and essentially it makes for the allowance of districts and counties to have up to 30 acres of designated fire ponds to help in the assistance of wildfires. I've been trying to navigate the process of getting our pond. We have a 2-acre pond in Conifer, about a mile from Elk Creek Fire Station number 2, designated. According to the standards in the bill, the pond fits, pretty much all of the criteria. But the idea is that obviously, from a safety perspective, when we look at like the water shortages they experienced in California during firefighting, more water is desirable. So we have a large pond. It's the largest in Jefferson County. It's about 2 surface acres. And while we do have water rights to store, we would still love to see it submitted. And are trying to navigate that process because essentially in talking to Tim Buckley, the water commissioner for Colorado, he's saying, and it also says on the Jeffco website, it has to go through the County Board of Commissioners. And that process, it sounds like there is both a form and then also a needs assessment that needs to be done. The needs assessment is pretty basic. It's essentially a letter that establishes a few basic criteria for a pond to be eligible. We would love to see this happen just simply, both in terms of service to the area and in terms of just preserving the pond for the future. But I honestly did not anticipate a big room full like this when Tim Buckley said, oh, maybe you should just attend a meeting and table it there if you're having difficulty. So my apologies to all of you for the matter, but yeah, so just seeking some guidance. Leslie, I believe I'm in your district, and just wondering if I can indeed pursue support through the County Board of Commissioners to get the needs assessment done in concert with the fire department and get that form submitted, and wondering how I might best be able to do so.
You bet. Well, we are grateful that you came here this morning to raise this issue. And what I would love to do is connect you with our county manager, Joe Kirby, and see what we can do to help move this process forward. We're very familiar with the bill. We were supportive of it. And I think any resources that we have to help reduce wildfire risk is critically important, as you mentioned. What I might recommend is, if you have a moment, if you could share your email address and your phone number with Cassie, who is our public affairs director. We'll make sure that information gets to Joe, and then we can connect you with our team so we can get these next steps moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Dahlkemper, I'd like to just redirect for a minute. I prefer that Kate connect, and so she can do that right now if they want to step out in the hall.
That would be even better.
Okay, great.
Real time.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
If only we had some Elk Creek fire folks that we could connect, we knew how to connect to them, if only.
Great. Thank you so much. And thanks again, Mr. Kirby, for that connection with Kate. Next, we have Christine Katramotis, who is here to talk about support of public libraries. Please come forward and share your address. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Christine Katramotis. I live on Florida Avenue in Lakewood. Thank you for recognizing the value of public libraries and public library workers. As you know, the need for advocacy and action to keep funding for libraries is urgent, specifically for the Colorado State Library, whose federal funding is about $3.2 million each year. The CSL helps libraries, schools, museums, and other organizations improve services, making it easier for all Coloradans to access the use, the materials, and the information needed for lifelong learning. This week, the ALA, American Library Association, and AFSCME, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, are challenging the Trump administration's gutting of the Institute of the Museum and Library Sciences, the ILMS. The ALA is the largest library association in the world, and AFSCME is the largest union representing museum and library workers. The lawsuit asks the court to block the dismantling of the ILMS. It's been my experience when libraries are threatened, the public comes out in support of libraries. And unions love it when the public comes out. So I repeat, the need for advocacy and action to keep funding for libraries is urgent. Let me know how we can help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Contramatis. Next, we have Lynn Clemens. And Ms. Clemens is speaking on the topic of drag racing on McIntyre Street.
Morning, Lynn Clemens, 6202 Kilmer Loop, Unit 102, Arvada, 80403. Come to you with a big concern that I have. About a week ago, I had a HOA meeting, and members of my community were very concerned about a drag racing situation that was occurring on McIntyre between 64th going south, and I don't know how far south these cars went, but apparently they saw about 100 cars being staged at the King Super parking lot at 64th and McIntyre. And there was a lot of noise, and I don't know exactly 2 weeks ago what that was, how long it was. But just recently, this past Saturday, I was watching TV late, and I am interior to my community. I am not anywhere close to McIntyre. And with the TV running, I heard a lot of noise of cars. And I went outside, and sure enough, there's all this noise of motors and things running up and down McIntyre. So I called 911, and I got the dispatcher, and I was very concerned. I said, can you send some police to curtail this? And they said that the situation was being monitored by the Arvada police at 64th and McIntyre. And I said, monitoring, why aren't they stopping it? And she had no answer. And she was like, can I get your phone number and your name? Somebody will contact you and to talk about the situation. And of course, I gave the information. No one contacted me yesterday. So I'm here to make everyone aware that I am very concerned about just monitoring the situation. Now, why isn't it being stopped? We are at the beginning of the nice weather season. I certainly don't want this to continue. My community and the community to the west of me has only one way in, one way out onto McIntyre. We have a lot of senior citizens in the area, young families, and if someone should accidentally pull out onto McIntyre and be affected by these racing cars, I don't think that would be a good situation. So instead of monitoring, let's hope we can get it stopped. And I know we've got two jurisdictions. We've got the sheriff south of 60th, and we've got the city of Arvada north of 60th. So I'm here to present this to you, and I'm hoping we can get a resolution very quickly. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ms. Clemens. We have three people who are joining us online, and we'll first go to Jean Schindel. The topic is public parks. And Jean, can you hear us online? Do we have Jean? Yes, we can hear you. If you would please share with us your address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jean Schindel. I live on Pinecrest Drive in Evergreen, Colorado. And may I proceed?
Yes, please.
I've lived in Evergreen for over 50 years. I've seen firsthand what happens when loggers are brought into our parks to do so-called fire mitigation. They cut down almost all the mature, profitable trees, making profit from the parks and trees that belong to the citizens of Jefferson County. They do not clean up afterward. We are left with slash strewn all over the forest floor. We are left with skinny little trees that will burn much more easily. The mature trees they cut down for profit have thick bark and are much more fire resistant. Last year, a windstorm brought down many of the trees that had been left. There's nothing to block the wind now. There's no shade from the sun in spring and summer. We used to have snow in the forest into the first week of June, keeping the ground and plants moist. Now the grasses and brush dry out quickly. We have the perfect recipe for a dangerous wildfire. Dry grasses, wind, and lots of slush on the ground to act as kindling. Our homes have been put in danger by the irresponsible fire mitigation techniques of Jefferson County Open Space and Denver Mountain Parks. As our commissioners, we depend upon you to enact rules that will protect our homes and our lives. I'm asking you to enact a pause on the logging in the parks in Jefferson County in order to take public input and reevaluate fire mitigation strategies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schindel, for your comments. Next, we have Teresa Fox. Again, the topic is public parks. Ms. Fox, please go ahead with your comments. You have 3 minutes.
Hello?
Hi, and if you would also share with us your address, please go ahead.
Sure. I'm on Teresa Fox and I'm on Forest Hill Road in Evergreen, Colorado.
Thank
I
you.
recently signed up for the Evergreen Fire and Rescue's Ambassador Program, which is really an amazing program that I'm very proud to be a part of. They do free home assessments where they help homeowners harden their homes. And they provide services such as slash pickup, where people can just leave piles of slash on the curb in front of their houses and it will be picked up. They also provide dumpsters where we can put our pine needles and juniper scrub into them, because they understand that the biggest concern is this product that's left on the ground that falls from the trees. They specifically said that they don't encourage people to take out mature trees during the home assessments because they're very resistant to fire, the larger trees, as Jean had just said. Contrast that with what's happening in the parks. In the parks, they call it thinning, but they're really logging an entire hillside, acres at a time, and then chipping it through a masticator and leaving the slash on the ground. It's creating a fire risk, not solving a fire risk problem. These slash, they have no intention of raking it up, and it makes the park look like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. If after the trees were pulled out, it was able to return to a meadow with wildflowers and grass, people would be a lot less upset. I attended a meeting in Evergreen where there was over 100 residents talking about how they can't stomach walking their favorite trails anymore, that they keep moving from park to park to try and find someplace left to walk because systematically this destruction is happening to all of our parks. And people were very upset about that. I spoke at that meeting and talked about the fact that our insurance companies, who have far more data on fire risk than anyone else, make it very clear that slash on the ground is the biggest risk. And they cancel policies on homeowners that are not adequately picking up the slash from the ground. At that meeting, Tom Hobie called over the wildfire coordinator to tell me that it's fine to leave the slash on the ground because we'd rather have the fire fought on the ground than up in the trees. That is a contradiction with much of the research that I have seen. I want to give you one quote. This is from the Missoula Fire Sciences Laboratory. In some cases, thinning treatments led to higher wildfire severity than in nearby untreated areas, likely due to increased surface fuels left from thinning activities. Again, higher wildfire severity where it was treated because of surface fuels left. Surface fuels are mastication. It's the slash we're talking about that are left on the ground, creating a higher problem than what otherwise would be there.
Time.
Furthermore,
Thank you. Ms. Fox, thank you. Your time is up. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your concerns with us. Next, we have Celia Greenman, I believe also speaking to the same topic, forest health specifically. Ms. Greenman, please go ahead with your comments. You have 3 minutes, and if you please start with your address. Thank you. And is Ms. Greenman unmuted?
She's been requested to be unmuted.
Okay. Ms. Greenman, are you able to hear us? While we're checking with Ms. Greenman to see if she's still joining us this morning, let me see if there's anyone else in the hearing room.
Hello.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome. Ms. Greenman, if you go ahead and share with us your address, you have 3 minutes. Please go ahead.
I'm at 8230 West 8th Avenue in Lakewood. I'm a longtime Lakewood resident, and I visit Jefferson County open space on a regular basis, both to hike and to bird with my friends. These areas are a respite from the noise and increasing urbanization I see in my city, where tree destruction for development is rampant. I am astonished to see the amount of tree treatment at Myers Ranch. It was actually heartbreaking for me. I felt a pain in my chest to see the clear cutting. Trees that were felled were some of the largest and most resistant ponderosa pines. There did not seem to be any thought behind removing trees selectively. And I wonder if that is because the process is being advanced by directives from federal grants that provide the monies. We know that wildfires are an increasing problem countrywide. However, to protect both residents and forests, I appeal that the effort be focused on protecting people's homes through treating safe areas around structures and fireproofing the structures themselves. Please listen to the input. You've had 2 other people speak before me from the public who cherish these natural areas. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Greenman. I'll go back now to folks who are in the hearing room. Is there anyone else who would like to provide public comment this morning? Please come forward. And if you'd share your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Amy Christensen, Christiansen. And I live at 11525 West Center Avenue in Lakewood, Colorado. Thank you so much for your proclamation this morning about in support of libraries. I am an employee of Jefferson County Public Library. It's a fantastic place. I just wanted to share, this is totally off the cuff. I just wanted to share, like, in your proclamation, when you were leading up to it, you talked about a lot of statistics about all the resources that we provide and how we serve all people. And one thing that was a little bit missing was the people, the workers, the employees who actually provide amazing resources. I worked at the Lakewood Library for over 8 years, and I'm now in the call center. And the array of reference materials that I've provided to people it's all across the board. We help people with genealogy. We help people research what car to buy. Just the other day, a woman called in who was helping a family who was experiencing homelessness, and I helped her navigate resources to find some places that she could try to help that family find some housing. Helped another woman just the other day. She was looking for an email provider that would provide more safety and security and privacy over some of the bigger ones that she was feared were being trolled by the federal government. We reference out all kinds of questions. I mean, it's just the array of services that the actual library employees provide are all across the board. I helped a man come in. He is deaf and was speaking ASL, which I don't. So I was using a phone app, and we helped find an old police report that was about his father, and he was so grateful. And he came back with a library card that was the oldest Jefferson County library card I have ever seen. It was brown. It was like past way, way older than the green one. I just want to say that when I first started at the library, it was right after the recession. When I came in to the Lakewood Library, pretty much everybody that I was working with who wasn't those new hires were retiring age, like they'd stayed to retirement. Now, if you go to the library, there are like 3 employees who've been there longer than me, and the rest are like 1 and 2 years there. So we're losing employees. There's a huge amount of turnover. So I'd like you to bear that in mind when you're selecting the library commissioners. We really need to be in support of workers. And then I also want to say we also provide bilingual services, which is I am one of those as well. So we provide so many services that workers do. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Christensen, for your comments. We are convinced that you all at the library system wear capes under your clothes. You are incredible. Thank you for everything that you do for our community. I'm going to check anyone else in the hearing room. My understanding is that we have no one else online who would like to speak at this time. So with that, we'll close this segment of public comment during our board hearing, but we do have another round at the end of today's meeting. Next on our agenda is the minutes. We'll ask next for approval of the minutes dated April 1st, 2025. May I have a motion to approve?
For the approval of the minutes from April 1st, 2025.
Second.
Ms. La Liberté, will you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr?
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Dahlkemper?
Yes, and that motion passes. I had that big buildup, but I forgot the ask. So, okay. Next, we have 13 items on our consent agenda. Commissioners, would either of you like to remove an item off of consent?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Zenzinger?
No.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion to approve items 9.1 through 9.13?
I move for the approval of consent agenda items 9.1 through 9.13.
Second.
Ms. La Liberté, would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr?
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger?
Aye.
Commissioner Dahlkemper?
Yes, and that motion passes. Next is our regular agenda, and we have one item on the regular agenda. Dan Conway, who is our Chief Financial Officer, is with us this morning, and we'd like you to come on forward and please go ahead with your presentation on item 10.1. Great to see you this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. So I'm here to briefly discuss the recommended adoption of a policy that establishes a Citizen Budget Advisory Committee. This is in relation to ballot initiative 1A that was recently passed this past November by Jefferson County voters. And one of the provisions in that ballot was to have all of the revenue that's retained and used as a result of this ballot measure, that it follows the prescribed uses within that, namely transportation and infrastructure and public safety. In addition, it also establishes that an annual review is conducted by auditors to verify that same data. So this policy establishes the Citizen Review Committee, which has been tentatively named the Budget Retention Advisory Committee. We recognize that can be a little bit bland and bureaucratic sounding, so we are in the process of evaluating a different name to utilize for that. But at this time, staff is requesting and recommending that this policy move forward to establish this committee and enable us to start the recruiting and bringing those folks on board. This also would amend the existing policy around our boards and commissions that basically references this new committee. Just quick highlights, the new committee would be comprised of about 7 to 9 members, depending on how many applicants we receive. They would serve 3-year terms with the max of 3 terms. The initial population of that committee will be staggered 1 year, 2 year, 3 years to allow for that staggering cycle to go through. And again, the primary function of that Citizen Review Committee is to evaluate the uses of the 1A dollars as they are retained through the years.
Great, thank you. And Director Conway, it will also reflect geographic diversity as well as we look at members from each of the 3 districts.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. I was remiss to state that. So obviously, again, dependent upon the applicants that we receive, the aim is to have representation from each of the 3 commissioner districts around the county. I'll also mention that the composition of this committee would have an appointment from both the Budget Advisory Committee, which is an existing committee, and the Audit Committee. The rest of the members would be appointed through that application process by the board.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Director Conway at this point? No? All right. Thank you very much. Well, with that, may I have a motion to approve item 10.1?
I move for the approval of regular agenda item 10.1.
Second.
Ms. La Liberté, would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr,
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger,
Aye.
Commissioner Dahlkemper.
Yes, and that motion passes. Next is the hearing consent portion of our agenda. We have no items on the hearing consent agenda. And we will move then to the hearing regular portion of our meeting. We have 2 items on the hearing regular agenda. Ms. La Liberté, will you please read hearing regular agenda item 13.1 into the record?
Resolution CC 25-100, case number 25-10441, 3AR Service Plan, case name Eagle View Metropolitan District Dissolution, owner applicant Eagle View Metropolitan District, location east of the intersection of West Cooper Avenue and South Sim Street, Littleton, approximate area 43.2 acres. Original approval on September 3rd, 2002. The Board of County Commissioners approved the service plan for Eagle View Metropolitan District by Resolution CC 02-374. Purpose: to request that the Board of County Commissioners, for purposes of dissolution, consider and find whether the purposes for which the district was created have been achieved. Case Manager Nick Nelson.
Thank you so much. We'll go next to Planning and Zoning's Nick Nelson for a brief presentation on item 13.1.
Thank you, Chair Dahlkemper and other commissioners. Yeah, let me get to my screen.
And this item, for those of you who may be wondering, is regarding the Eagle View Metropolitan District.
Thank you. Okay, so again, this is for the dissolution of the Eagle View Metropolitan District. The subject properties contained within the district are highlighted here in blue. They're just on the east side of South Sim Street, a little bit south of West Coal Mine Avenue. So on September 3rd, 2002, the Board of County Commissioners did approve a service plan for the creation of the Eagle View Metropolitan District, which was then approved by the courts shortly thereafter. This service plan is actually unique for the county. Most service plans don't have this condition, but they have this paragraph X that says that the dissolution of the service plan requires an independent determination by the county that the purposes for which the district was approved have been met. So that's why we are here. So the powers that were granted with this service plan had 3 different powers. Street improvements, which basically allowed the operators of the Metro District to acquire and construct the streets and roads within the Metro District boundaries. Safety protection improvements, those are going to be things like street signs, fire hydrants. Well, I'll show you a little bit more of that. And then the final power was for mosquito control. I want to point out here that the service plan did grant the power to provide for mosquito control, but does not obligate the Metro District to provide the mosquito control. So with the street improvements, shortly thereafter, after the Metro District was approved, they did come in with a preliminary final plat. And all of the streets within this preliminary final plat within the Metro District are owned and operated, maintained. They were built by the Metro District, and they are now owned and operated by the 2 homeowners associations. So the plat itself, this note 9, which is very small, hard to read. So I'll just, the highlights here are that the streets within this subdivision were not to be dedicated or conveyed to Jefferson County. They were then conveyed to the homeowners associations for them to operate and maintain, and that is the current status of this. So again, those safety protection improvements that were another power. So within the subdivision, within the Metro District boundary, you have stop signs, street signs, fire hydrant down here. There's other things, street lights, all the other safety improvements within the area. So mosquito control, again, this did give the Metro District and anticipated that the homeowners association would still have the power to provide mosquito control. However, the Metro District and the homeowners associations currently do not. They've not taken advantage of that power, so they have not provided mosquito control. So at the end of last year, we did get a request from council for the Eagle View Metropolitan District to have the county consent to the dissolution. The board of directors for the Metropolitan District did meet and adopted a resolution for the dissolution of the Metro District. They have let us know that they have, out of the $2.4 million that they issued in bond debt, they have successfully paid off all of those debts. They have met the other powers and obligations that the Metro District has. The HOAs within the district did provide letters as well, consenting to this dissolution, and also acknowledging that they do own and maintain all of the streets and other improvements within the Metro District. So for the notice of this hearing, we did post the notice in the appropriate newspapers. The Eagle View Metropolitan District, they mailed notice, physical notice to 219 entities or homeowners and have certified as such. And staff finds and recommends that the Board of County Commissioners consent to the dissolution of this Metro District. And again, so today's purpose is to request that the Board of County Commissioners, for the purposes of dissolution, consider and find whether the purposes for which the district was created have been achieved. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Nelson. Commissioners, do you have any questions at this time?
One comment.
Please go ahead.
Great, thanks. No question, but just the comment that metropolitan districts are more common now than they used to be, and we often hear about them at the front end of developments and the various details of the metropolitan districts. We don't often hear about when the metropolitan district has fulfilled its purpose and goes through dissolution. So I just think that's important to kind of highlight that I don't know if all metropolitan districts go through this process. It does sound like this one particularly had the specific that it had to come before us. I don't think they all do, but I do think that we should highlight when the Metropolitan District has gone through its process and moves on to something else.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Kerr. Commissioner Zenzinger? No. Okay, great. Let me ask, do we have anyone from Eagle View Metropolitan District who would like to present? Please come forward and we'll ask you to share your name, and if you'd spell your last name, share your address, and then the clerk will swear you in. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Mary Ann McGeady. I'm with McGeady, Becker, Cortez, and Williams on behalf of the applicant for the dissolution, the Eagle View Metropolitan District. And did you need my address?
Yes, please.
Okay, 450 East 17th Avenue in Denver.
Great, thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Okay, thank you. First, since you've taken a proclamation for public health, I want to advise I have completed the prescription that I was given with antibiotics. And so although I sound terrible, I've been assured it's not contagious. So pneumonia has a tendency to linger. Excuse me. I really don't have that much to add to the staff presentation. I think Nick did a complete job of providing you the information on the status of the affairs of this district. I'd also note that we did get a letter of support from Southwest Metro Water and Sanitation District because of the limited improvements that we had related to the street that were dedicated to them. They've been operating probably for 20 years now. Just an interesting piece of history. I was the attorney who was before the board to organize this district. And I have dissolved other districts in other counties when they reached a point where their services, their debt was repaid, their services completed, and they had no other purpose for being. I've also worked on a consolidation, one in this county years ago, of fire districts, ironically enough. But I'm not involved in the one that you're considering today. So coming back to our purposes, we do have a board member here, Susan Rogers, if you had any questions for a board member. But I think the board is unified in its desire to request your support for their dissolution. They really don't want to tax their residents another year to exist. So they did pay off their debt in 2024. did solicit support of the overlapping HOAs, and the HOAs are also going to be the beneficiaries of, if there is any remaining tax dollars, which there won't be much, but if there are any, we'll be distributing those equally to the HOAs. And did you have any questions of me?
Thanks, Ms. McGeady, and thank you, Ms. Rogers, for being here as well. Commissioners, any questions or comments? No, we appreciate your being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to public testimony on this agenda item. And again, we're taking public testimony only on this issue. Is there anyone joining us online who would like to comment?
No one online.
Thank you so much. Anyone in the hearing room who would like to speak to this issue? All right, with that, we will close this portion of public testimony on this agenda item. Commissioners, I'll ask if there are any questions or comments before we move to a motion. All right, with that, may I have a motion for hearing regular agenda item 13.1?
Move for the approval of hearing regular agenda item 13.1.
Second.
Ms. La Liberté, would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr,
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger,
Aye.
Commissioner Dahlkemper.
Yes. And that motion passes. Thank you all very much. And thanks, Mr. Nelson, and thank you both for being here with us this morning as well. We appreciate it. Next up, we have agenda item 13.2 regarding the Elk Creek Fire Protection District. Ms. La Liberté, would you please read hearing regular agenda item 13.2 into the record?
Resolution CC 25-101, case name Appeal of Elk Creek Fire Protection District Resolution number 2024-9. Resolution and order of exclusion, Norfolk Consolidation, appellants Neil H. Whitehead III and Charles F. Newby, appellee, the Board of Directors of the Elk Creek Fire Protection District, subject property, the Elk Creek Fire Protection District service area in Jefferson County. Issue, whether evidence supporting the statutory factors for exclusion was established at the hearing before the district board.
Thank you so much, Ms. La Liberté. Agenda item 13.2, appeal of the Elk Creek Fire Protection District, is a unique matter for this board to hear. I'm going to take some additional time to introduce this case on the record. On November 24th, 2024, the Elk Creek Fire Protection District conducted a hearing and adopted a resolution excluding all real property from the Elk Creek Fire Protection District, so that property could be included in the North Fork Fire Protection District. The effect of this action is that property previously serviced by the Elk Creek Fire Protection District would now be serviced by the newly consolidated North Fork Fire Protection District. On November 27th, 2024, 2 residents of the district who opposed the consolidation filed this appeal with the Board of County Commissioners under the exclusion statute of the Colorado Special District Act. Our Board of County Commissioners must determine whether to affirm or reverse the resolution passed by Elk Creek. When deciding this appeal, the exclusion statute requires this board to consider the statutory factors the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Board considered and determine whether to exclude the subject property from the district. In doing so, this board must determine whether evidence supporting each of the statutory factors for exclusion was established at the hearing before the district board. This board's authority is limited to considering the record developed before the Elk Creek Fire Protection District on November 24th, 2024. Since November 24, 2024, when Elk Creek passed the resolution on appeal, this board has received numerous communications from parties either in support of or against the resolution at issue in this appeal. It is important for everyone to understand that this board cannot and will not consider any of those communications only because they are outside of the record developed at the November 24th hearing in which Elk Creek passed the resolution. And it is important to note for the record that the subject property at issue in this appeal is the real property located within unincorporated Jefferson County, served by Elk Creek. The Elk Creek service area boundary also included real property located in Park County. However, this board does not have jurisdiction with respect to Park County real property, and this board's decision will not impact real property located within Park County, which has already been excluded under the resolution, as that property is not the subject of the appeal before this board. Only Jefferson County property is before this board. In their November 27th, 2024 appeal, the appellants presented 3 issues. 2 of those issues fall outside the scope of this board's limited statutory authority and will not be considered. The only issue this board will consider on appeal is whether the record developed before the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Board on November 24 supports a finding for exclusion. On December 20th, 2024, the county notified the parties to this appeal that the Board of County Commissioners would be considering that one issue only. Pursuant to the exclusion statute, this board's decision must be based on the record developed at the hearing before the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Board. The record on appeal consists of what have been previously marked Exhibits 1 through 4, which includes the November 24, 2024 hearing. Because this board is limited to reviewing the record before the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Board, the Board of County Commissioners is not conducting a new hearing. New evidence will not be considered and testimony will not be taken today. Instead, the process for this appeal included a written briefing from each side and today's oral argument. Each side will have 10 minutes to present oral arguments to the Board of County Commissioners. After oral arguments are completed, it will be this board's job to determine whether the record developed before the district board contains evidence to support each of the statutory factors required for exclusion of the properties from the district boundaries. With that, we are ready to begin with the appellant's oral argument. If appellants wish to reserve any of their 10 minutes for rebuttal, they may do so, but your total time may not exceed 10 minutes. So I would like to ask next who will be arguing for appellants Neil Whitehead III and Charles F. Newby. Please come forward. You are welcome to sit at the table, you bet, wherever you're most comfortable. And will you both be providing oral arguments during the 10-minute period of time? Dr. Whitehead will be providing the arguments. And do you plan to use your full 10 minutes for oral arguments, or would you like to reserve any for rebuttal?
I'll plan to read the statement, and then hopefully there'll be some time left over, whatever's left over on that.
Okay, perfect. Let me begin by asking you to please state your name for the record, and then your 10 minutes will begin.
Commissioner Dahlkemper, before we begin, I would like to ask your permission for Mr. Newby to come up and hand to the clerk the text of my presentation.
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you. Great. Dr. Whitehead, please go ahead and state your name for the record, and you will have 10 minutes.
Neil H. Whitehead III, 31634 Black Widow Way, a resident and elector of Elk Creek Fire Protection District since 1998. Good morning, Commissioners. You have received the written briefs from us setting forth our position in this appeal. Today, I'm here to present a plain language summary of our position. Have you handed out those items, please? There's one for each commissioner and the county attorney.
Please go ahead.
1 year and 2 weeks after 3,057 voters of Elk Creek rejected a plan to consolidate Elk Creek with its neighboring districts, the board of Elk Creek held a meeting where the board subverted the expressed will of the citizens of Elk Creek by passing a resolution that effectively consolidated Elk Creek into North Fork Fire Protection District. To accomplish this result without seeking voter approval, the Board of Elk Creek took the following 3 impermissible steps. Number 1, the Board of Elk Creek failed to follow the statute designed for consolidation, Title 32, Part 601, that would have required the voter approval to effectuate consolidation. Instead, the board claimed to be able to accomplish consolidation through a statute designed for exclusion, Title 32, Part 501, because that statute does not require voter approval. But statutes cannot be interpreted as superfluous. Consolidation and exclusion are not the same. One is the wholesale dissolution of a special district, that is consolidation. The other is the micro adjustment of certain properties or boundaries within the special districts, that is exclusion. Consolidation being more pervasive requires voter approval. Exclusion being more targeted requires only a public noticed hearing. Through the appeal, we ask you to respect or reject the illegal attempt by the Board of Elk Creek to consolidate Elk Creek into North Fork without seeking voter approval as required by statute. Number 2, the Board of Elk Creek falsely informed the citizens of Elk Creek that their taxes would be reduced upon consolidation with North Fork Fire Protection District. This motivation, once again, was to avoid seeking voter approval under Title 32 of Colorado law and under the Tabor requirements of the Colorado Constitution. Voter approval is required to increase taxes upon citizens. As a matter of fact, when the resolution at issue in this appeal was adopted by the Board of Elk Creek on November the 21st, 2024, the authorized and imposed mill rate of North Fork was higher than that of the mill rate of Elk Creek. Only after the appeal was filed did the Board of North Fork, this appeal was filed, did the Board of North Fork pass a resolution that claimed to self-limit the imposed mill rate to a level below Elk Creek. That self-limiting resolution does not, however, change the authorized mill rate of North Fork, which continues to be higher than the authorized rate of Elk Creek. Moreover, that resolution has no binding authority and could be rescinded at any time. As a result, the citizens of Elk Creek could have their taxes increased through administrative fiat without voter consent as guaranteed by the Colorado law and the Constitution. Finally, and importantly, the notice of hearing that was disseminated to the citizens of Elk Creek contained this misstatement about a supposed tax cut and therefore impermissibly lulled Elk Creek citizens into believing that they had no, quote, tax hike, unquote, concern to raise at the public hearing. For the aforementioned reasons, we ask you to reject the illegal attempt to increase taxes on the citizens of Elk Creek without seeking voter approval. Number 3, finally, the Board of Elk Creek did not even satisfy the basic requirements of the exclusion statute that mandates a hearing pursuant to Title 32, Section 501(3). The statutory provision requires that Elk Creek Board conduct a hearing in which the board actually considers and makes findings which respect to each and every of the 10 specific evaluation criteria. Rather than fulfilling that obligation, the board held a meeting that consisted of a, quote, public comment period, end quote, where approximately 18 people made opinion statements about whether they favored consolidation and or supported first responders, followed by a brief discussion by board members about whether they favored consolidation and supported those first responders. The duty to consider and make factual findings on the specifically designated evaluation criteria was not fulfilled. For example, the board failed to consider or make findings pursuant to sections 501(3)A and 501(3)B regarding the best interest of costs imposed upon Elk Creek property owners, given that there was no discussion or deliberation about how those property owners who are currently served by a well-funded and well-equipped 24/7 fire district of 98 square miles would be impacted by taking on an additional 240 square miles of rural forest land in North Fork that is currently underfunded and served by one paid firefighter. The board also failed to consider and make findings pursuant to section 501(3)C regarding the ability of North Fork to provide sufficient service to Elk Creek property owners, given that there was no discussion or deliberation regarding whether or how the one paid firefighter in North Fork is prepared to take on all of the property and citizens of Elk Creek post-consolidation, and how the command structure would be organized. Further, the board failed to consider and make findings pursuant to 5013F regarding the economic impact of the special district, given that there was no discussion or deliberation regarding how fire insurance coverage and rates of Elk Creek property owners would be impacted post-consolidation, given that their fire and emergency resources would be stretched to provide services to an additional 240 square miles of rural forest land, and the board failed to consider and make findings pursuant to 5013G, as there wasn't an idea of wasn't an iota of testimony, data, or discussion as to whether an economically feasible alternative to consolidation may be available.
3 minutes left.
We plead with each and every commissioner to listen for yourselves to the audio-video recording of the supposed quote hearing unquote on November the 21st, 2024. Nothing we could write in a brief or state in words today would be as powerful as simply listening to that recording of that hearing for yourselves to see that the board utterly failed in its obligation to consider and make findings that were required by statute. For that reason, we ask you to vacate the resolution passed by the Elk Creek Board, as it was not supported by a properly conducted hearing according to statute. Thank you for your time, attention, and consideration to this important matter, and I reserve my remaining time for rebuttal.
Thank you. And let the record show that the remaining time was 2:03 at the end of your statement. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next, we would like to ask who is arguing for the appellee Elk Creek Fire Protection District. Please come forward. And if you would go ahead and share with us your name and enter your appearance for the record, and your 10 minutes will begin.
Absolutely. Commissioners, thank you for your time. My name is John Camille. I'm a shareholder with the law firm Lyons Gaddis. We are general counsel, excuse me, for the district. I will be primarily arguing on behalf of the district. I will invite briefly the chief up to just provide a short introduction for our argument before I proceed. So Chief Ware, if you want to come up.
Morning.
Morning.
I kind of want to give you a little foundational knowledge and kind of what led us up to that November 21st hearing. So our fire department was founded in 1948. Some residents felt they needed fire protection, emergency services. They kind of got together, put this thing together, and created Elk Creek Fire Department. In the 70s, they realized there was another need for services. They got an old ambulance and started the Elk Creek Rescue Squad, which was the foundation of the EMS service that we have today. 1992, the department realized they could no longer meet the service needs of the district with a fully volunteer staff. They hired the first firefighter paramedic. This was the beginning of the combination fire department that services the area today. The first professional firefighters working 40 hours a week during the day. In 1996, the move was made to 24/7 staffing of 2 career firefighter EMS providers. That staffing managed the call volume up until 2015, when we started to add more career staffing, including professional wildland firefighters. All of these changes were due to the responsibility that Elk Creek has to meet the service needs of the residents in the district. This need was recognized by the chief and the board, and they acted on it. The unification of the Elk Creek, Intercanyon, North Fork Fire Department is no different. This has been talked about since the 90s with the 285 corridor departments. It's not a new idea. It's happening all across the country, and it's happened several times in Jefferson County. In 2020, the idea started to become a reality after a consulting firm was retained to do a feasibility study to explore the merger between the agencies. The study said the exclusion process was the #1 recommendation. Chief Rogers, Sherlaw, and myself started the process of merging the agencies. We ultimately went to the voters where the merger was narrowly defeated. After discussing with many of our residents, we addressed their concerns and moved to the inclusion-exclusion method of unifying the districts. One of the components will involve the Elk Creek residents seeing a half-mil tax reduction in '26, not an increase. Currently, Elk Creek has 14 volunteer firefighters and 26 professional firefighters, administrative staff, as well as fleet services. The district has several shared positions with the Conifer Fire Department, which is made up of Intercanyon and North Fork, including 4 wildland firefighters, fleet manager, wildland specialist, and public information officer. We have 1 station that is staffed 24/7, 1 station that is staffed 5 days a week during the day, and 2 volunteer stations that serve a district of about 98 square miles. By combining the resources, the unified district will have approximately 35 to 40 volunteers, 35 professional firefighters working out of. There will be a new station open, 2 staff stations for 24/7 coverage on the 285 corridor. This will increase service for all three districts and service the area just under 400 square miles. We've heard from the staff, both volunteer and career, as well as administrative staff from the agencies, that this is the correct path. Consultants, strategic plan, internal and external surveys, and residents have agreed that unifying the districts is what is needed for a sustainable future. 13 out of 15 board members from the 3 publicly elected boards supported this. Overall, we feel that support was shared by the majority of the individuals participating in the public hearing on November 21st, 2024, and would request the county approve the resolution of exclusion.
So I felt that was helpful context and was very consistent with what the chief's presentation was to the board as far as the staff recommendation the evening of November 21st, 2024. To start briefly, as far as the focus of this review, the statutory exclusion factors is a unique process, and I certainly appreciate Chair Delkemper the overview you gave of what you all have considered to this point. We do identify that this is limited to the record at the hearing on November 21st, and that ultimately the decision is whether or not there was appropriate presentation to allow the board, and now in your role here as the deciding board, whether to consider those factors and make a determination on exclusion. I think to clarify that point, though, the statute itself does not require any kind of specific presentation or receipt of evidence. The determination of factors is the board decision and does not specifically require that information presented at the hearing match those specific statutory factors. So what we have here is a very engaged populace. We have a board that, as you just heard, has a history with this topic and an acknowledgement of what's going on and what's best for the community there as far as emergency services go. And so I think what I want to clarify for the commissioner's review here today is that the statute does not specifically require that someone stand up and specifically make an argument or evidence on each specific factor. What it requires is a public hearing to allow for testimony relevant to the topic, and then for the board themselves to consider those factors in making the determination of whether or not to grant or deny the exclusion. So I think here what we have, again, is the opportunity for the commissioners to look at the record. You've had that before. You've had the briefs before you, which provide our specific arguments. And let me be clear, the district's primary position is, of course, that there was absolutely sufficient evidence and testimony provided by the engaged public, by the board members, by the chief of the organization, to allow the board to properly consider each and every one of the statutory factors and make the determination that they did. And of course, that is absolutely reflected in the resolution that was approved on November 21st, 2024, in that it expressly does make a finding for each statutory factor in the 8th whereas clause of the resolution. As far as procedure goes, that resolution was preliminarily adopted on September 26, 2024. So this was before the public. This was in the agenda. This was a notice part of a meeting. That same resolution was preliminarily adopted. That then moved forward, and a specific requirement of the statute here for this type of exclusion process is that every address within the district received mailed notice of this public hearing on the 21st. Ultimately, that went out in between October 7th and October 7th and October 22nd. And so every address got notification to come and participate in this hearing. Ultimately, we had 14 members of the public attend. I think unique as far as the statute itself goes, to keep in mind is that per 321501 subsection 2, the failure to provide a written objection by any member of the public is actually legally deemed assent to the exclusion. So ultimately, by law, anyone who didn't show up and provide public testimony or provide a written statement assented to the exclusion of property. And again, at the hearing itself on November 21st, we had approximately 14 members of the public, as well as board members and the chief. The strong majority of that testimony was in favor and highlighted the unique concerns that this exclusion is made to improve. Things like wildfire risk, call volume, the respective demands on service unique to covering a substantial portion of the 285 corridor. And of course, that's not unique to this specific district, Elk Creek, but the other two districts that are providing services in this area. So not only do you have an area in this state that's uniquely susceptible to wildfire risk, but also has to deal with the demands of 285. All of those were brought out in this public testimony and in the staff recommendation, and ultimately allowed for a very clear analysis of the statutory factors to make those findings.
2 minutes.
Similarly, the board received the written statements in support of exclusion. There was approximately 18 written statements received. That was previously referenced and been marked as Exhibit 4 for your consideration as the record. As a breakdown there were 9 that were for the exclusion and expressed some similar concerns and identified factors that were in the public testimony. 6 were against, and 3 were simply just asking for the potential election. So again, when you think about what the board received in contemplation of this November 21st public hearing, they absolutely had all of the substance they needed to, as directed by the statute, consider each and every factor, make a finding on those factors, and then determine whether or not to grant or deny the exclusion. I think unique to that is that ultimately the statute doesn't direct really a standard or a burden of proof on each factor. It doesn't necessarily require, if you make findings, that each finding directly supports the exclusion. Ultimately, what they have to do is consider each and every factor, make a finding, and then use that to determine whether or not the exclusion is appropriate. And they absolutely did that, and they absolutely had the evidence needed in order to make those determinations. As stated previously, you have received the substantive arguments in our briefs, but the critical points ultimately ring true are that the exclusion represents an informed and efficient consolidation of resources to better protect the current area and the unified area of the districts. The statute does not require that all factors be presented in a certain way or that all factors must be unequivocally supporting the exclusion. And ultimately here we would urge you all to review the record, make the findings, and then determine that exclusion is appropriate as the board did on November 21st, 2024. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much to you both. We appreciate it. I'm going to turn to no, we came up right against time. Is that correct? We came up right on time? Yeah. Thank you for checking, though. I'm going to turn to the appellants to see if they would like to use their 2 minutes and 3 seconds for any rebuttal at this time. It's okay, chair's fine. Please come forward. Thank you so much, and we'll set the clock. We've got it set for 2:03.
Council for Elk Creek produced a statement of an incredibly low barrier for approval, and essentially in their brief, they wove together whatever they could produce by the public comments of 12 people. Some of those just seemingly decided that afternoon to show up and make statements. But the finding of facts is a key essential portion of this statutory requirement, and simply the comments of the public, which the council has produced in their brief, that does not constitute it. It's been a long held in Colorado that the opinions and desires of community members are just opinions and are not relevant for finding necessary facts by a board challenged by making assessment and actual findings. And that was emphasized in MacArthur versus Presto, Colorado in 1915 or 1950, and that they basically said 1,000 people signed a petition, et cetera, but the expression therein of opinions as to requirements of a neighborhood were not controlling, since under the statute, the issuance of a license is dependent upon the judgment of licensing authority and not of the other citizens. And so we feel that they have not met their burden. And that was one of the primary reasons that the consolidation election failed, in my opinion, because Elk Creek Fire Protection District and Board did not present to the citizens an organized discussion of what they were actually getting. And as a year later, in 2 weeks, they still were unable to present an organized discussion and maps and charts. Nothing, not a shred of paper was this board or the fire chief presented. So they still have a problem. I'm not being able to produce their argument. Thank you.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you to both sides for your oral arguments today. Now it's time for the Board of County Commissioners to apply the facts presented in the record to the statutory requirements and decide whether those requirements have been met. The County Attorney's Office, we have our County Attorney Kim Sorrells with us this morning, and she and her team have prepared a slide that contains the statutory requirements for this board to consider. Could we please put that slide up on screen before I ask commissioners if they have any questions? With that, I will ask Commissioners Kerr and Zenzinger if they have any questions at this point in time for either side of this issue, or any comments you'd like to share. I'll start with Commissioner Zenzinger.
No questions at this time.
Commissioner Kerr.
Thank you, whoever just made this. My mic is not on. I'm just mumbling to myself up here. So no, I do not have any questions at this time.
All right, and I have no questions nor comments at this time as well, and feel that the statutory obligations have been met. So with that, let me ask, is there a motion for agenda item 13.2?
I move to affirm the Elk Creek Fire Protection District Resolution number 2024-09, resolution in order of exclusion, which will allow for the North Fork consolidation to proceed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And would you please call the vote?
Commissioner Kerr,
Aye.
Commissioner Zenzinger,
Aye.
Commissioner Dahlkemper.
Yes, and that motion passes. Thanks again to both sides who are here, who are present. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Much appreciated. We are now going to move on to the second round of public comment on our agenda. Is there anyone who has not provided public comment today who wishes to speak on a topic not on today's agenda? And I'll check to see, Ms. Sendejas, if we have anyone online joining us.
No one online.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Next up, we have reports from our county commissioners, and I'll begin with Commissioner Zenzinger.
Thank you so much. Couple of things. We had our Jefferson Center for Mental Health, I should say, board meeting last night. It was a very long board meeting, and our last board meeting with the current executive director, Kiara Kunzler, who again was honored as one of Colorado's 2024 Remarkable Women. So we were very excited to be able to celebrate that special designation with her and with members of the board. We were less excited about the news of some of the funding cuts that are taking place, and in particular, the impact to a service that we as board members, and I believe even as Jeffco commissioners, very much value, which is our mobile crisis service. The mobile crisis service program funding was cut and withdrawn. And so those services were immediately ceased. There were some other programs that were also temporarily ceased per the executive order and the withdrawal of funds. But there was a judge's order that said that the halt to that funding was stopped. And so we are in a little bit of a holding pattern on 3 other services that we provide at the Jefferson Center for Mental Health, in particular helping people who are in crisis. But unfortunately, the funding that was connected to the mobile crisis unit was not continued. So those services will cease at the moment. It was very disheartening, but we are looking at how we can improve our financial situation going forward in the future without that funding, and whether or not we will be able to stand up that program again in the future. In addition to that, I just wanted to give a shout out to our business information and technology team who provided an orientation to me on their services. It was a really fascinating presentation about the breadth and depth of services that they support here in Jefferson County. And they even gave me an opportunity to view the archives in their building. And it was really remarkable to see the very first minutes of Jefferson County Commission board meeting. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Andy and his team for all the time that they spent with me. Also wanted to thank a couple of organizations that I was able to meet with over the course of the last week or attend their programming, including the Evergreen Chamber. It was my first time post-election as an official board member to be able to spend some time with them. So I very much appreciated that, as well as the Northwest Business and Professional Women's Group, who hosted me as their guest speaker, and had an opportunity to discuss with them what is happening at the county level, as well as the Westminster Chamber. They have a monthly governmental affairs meeting, and it was great to be able to connect with those members and talk a little bit about what's happening at the county, as well as listen to updates by Mayor Nancy McNally, as well as the Chamber's lobbyist about what is happening down at the Capitol. And then lastly, I had an opportunity to meet with former Senator Mo Keller, who is a board member for the Jeffco Prosperity Project. We met along with their director and then our team member, Mary Berg, to talk a little bit about the Jeffco Prosperity Partners Project. And I was just blown away by their mission, their ability to accomplish this mission. They really have a couple of different really incredible program goals where they help promote families to move out of that cycle of poverty into prosperity. And they do that by taking a long approach, a 2-generational approach. And they're not just there to be able to help these individuals in the now, but they work in partnership to figure out over the course of many years how to improve access to education, to help create connections to finding a livable wage for employment, working on creating a community of folks who are nurturing that sense of belonging, and then ultimately improving financial literacy so that we can ensure economic stability for families in Jefferson County. It's a very moving program with a lot of success stories. And so I was just really excited to be able to meet with them, the key players, to talk about this service delivery system that supports the whole family and provides families with a holistic approach towards services and resources, as opposed to chopping them up and having 50 different entry points and creating more barriers. It helps bring it all together so that they can really help build the health and well-being across several generations. So was so impressed, and I just wanted to highlight and uplift a couple of facts about this program. In order to meet the basic needs, a single parent of 2 children needs to be able to earn $40.63 per hour. So very clearly, our minimum wage jobs would not be able to provide for that. And so it's really important that we are working on solutions to be able to address just so that we can meet our basic needs. Right now in Jefferson County, we have approximately 38.9, so almost 40,000 people who are living below the poverty line. Now, this program can't meet the needs of 40,000 people, but what we are doing with the individuals and families that are in the program is we're trying to interrupt that cycle of poverty. 12% of the Jeffco children in Jeffco are experiencing poverty, living below the poverty line. So what that means is that 1 in 5 Jeffco residents are in a position where they need to utilize a government assistance program just in order to meet their basic needs. 1 in 5. And in Colorado, 1 in 4 Coloradans are taking advantage of Medicaid. So these are services that are absolutely critical to a large portion of Coloradans and Jeffco residents. And just to put a finer point on it, child poverty costs the United States $1 trillion annually. With welfare costs around $500 billion. So anything that we can do to interrupt the cycle of poverty and assist individuals so that they can achieve prosperity and move out of that cycle into a pathway to economic stability is what's going to be best, not only for those individuals, but for our community at large. So really wanted to uplift what they do in that program and just thank them for taking the time to educate me on this.
Great. Thanks so much, Commissioner Zenzinger. Commissioner Kerr.
Thank you. I stopped by the April Alameda Connects meeting last week and got to meet one of Lakewood's 2 newest city councilors, Ken Cruz in Ward 3, I believe that is, was just elected. And then in Ward 4, Bill Furman was elected. Those were 2 vacancies in a special election held. So congratulations to those 2 individuals and also the folks who participated in a special election. As I mentioned, we had a Mountain Town Hall at the Evergreen Library on Saturday, well attended, discussing wildfire mitigation. We had the insurance commissioner there. Once again, the library and our librarians were extremely welcoming and helpful. And we also had the surprise appearance of our congressperson, Brittany Pedersen, stop by to give some updates and also connect the work she's doing at the federal level with the work we're doing at the county, local, and state levels around wildfire mitigation. Spent a little bit of time yesterday at the Capitol, testified on a couple of things yesterday. Wanted to remind folks that this time of year with our high schoolers, We have prom, we have after prom, spring sports, graduations coming up. I got to spend a very, very late night at Lakewood High School, volunteering in the casino at after prom. So lots of tired but happy kids there. And hopefully, as far as I know, we got them all home safely after prom and after prom. I did want to mention one thing from our library, our librarians, and quite a bit was brought up, but some things that I've experienced and seen our librarians go above and beyond. I have spent some election days at the Lakewood Library, not election days where my name was on the ballot. I don't go to the polls and bother people if my name's on the ballot. But on those off years, I've gone to the Lakewood Library late because the law says is that if you are in line by 7 o'clock on election day, you have the right to cast a ballot. I believe our libraries close by that point on in November, are closing by 7 p.m. And our library, the Lakewood Library, stays open. The librarians stay there, help passing out water, which is legal in Colorado to give people standing in line bottles of water. And our librarians have always been extremely accommodating to help make sure that people's vote counts, and that folks who, for whatever reason, that they're showing up at 6:55 on election night, but still want to make their voice heard. So thank you to our libraries and librarians for making sure that our civic processes in Colorado happen every year. Conifer Chamber coming up on Thursday. We have a DRCOG board retreat coming up, some CCAT and CCI legislative meetings as thankfully the legislative session is nearing its final few weeks. So with that, thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Commissioner Kerr. I also wanted to thank the Evergreen Chamber for always allowing us to share an update with their membership about what's happening at the county, whether it's transportation, building wildfire resiliency, looking at growth and development related issues. And it was a lot of fun to tag team with Commissioner Zenzinger at the recent meeting. Also, I wanted to thank, you heard Commissioner Kerr mention our town hall on Saturday. We were thrilled to have Congresswoman Pedersen there, as well as the insurance commissioner, which Commissioner Kerr mentioned. And I also want to give another shout out to Fire Management Officer Brian Keating, who shared an update on the incredible work that is underway thanks to our recently updated Community Wildfire Protection Plan, which also embraces many of the recommendations that came out of the Jeffco Wildfire Task Force, now Commission. I also want to let you know that if you missed the town hall, you're in good hands, because My Mountain Town was there recording the town hall, and you can find that at My Mountain Town, and just simply Google it. It'll pop up for you, and you can hear more from the insurance commissioner about legislation underway to reduce the cost of homeowners insurance, and also learn more about the great work that the county is doing along with so many partners, our fire chiefs, our community, wildfire ambassadors, and more, to help build greater wildfire resiliency. So huge thanks. And last but not least, I do want to give a special shout out to Jared Johnson with Evergreen Library, who helped us set up chairs at 8:45 in the morning. Brian showed up early as well, which was really nice. And it was just an overall great team effort with our elected officials who co-host that town hall. So really good conversation. I also wanted to mention that many of you may already know that this is not the only board that the Board of County Commissioners serves on. Many of us are on several, up to a dozen boards and commissions locally, statewide, and even nationally. And those boards focus on everything from water quality, wildfire, housing, the environment, even early childhood education and public safety. And I also serve on the Community Corrections Board, which has seen a significant increase in the number of cases that we review every month. In fact, we now review up to 20 cases a month. Last Friday, I attended a day-long retreat to deepen my understanding about our work, joining other members of the Community Corrections Board. We dug into data, recent research, to help us make good decisions. And we were joined by leaders from our community, the courts, probation, community corrections, and more. Really good conversation and retreat. And you also heard Commissioner Kerr just a moment ago talk about the legislative session, I should say. We will be very happy when it comes to a close. And we're also grateful for the great work of our state legislators, especially our JEFCO legislators who collaborate and partner with us on very important topics and do great work in terms of the legislature. And I was proud to testify on behalf of counties and commissioners acting together, or CCAT, on bills that address rising homeowners insurance rates. Just yesterday, in fact, Commissioner Kerr and I were, you were bouncing around to different committee rooms, and thanks to you for your testimony on a number of issues. And then last but not least, I'll wrap up with the continued collaboration that we're seeing not only across the county, but in our cities regarding wildfire resiliency. And I want to thank the Lakewood City Council, who invited Brian Keating, again, our fire management officer, and me to talk more about our efforts at the county level, how that work intersects with our local fire rescue districts, and also sharing more around policies related to building codes, growth and development, wildfire resiliency, climate change, with Lakewood City Council members who are also thinking these issues through. And then finally, would love to, again, invite you to the Evergreen Town Hall, which is this Thursday, April 10th, starting at 5:30. The topic is community infrastructure. Looking forward to being part of a panel discussion, and that'll be at Evergreen High School in the auditorium. I'm looking at Chris O'Keefe right now, our planning and zoning director, because I'm also grateful for your support too, as we tackle some of those important questions coming up during the community forum. Thanks so much for allowing us to give that quick update. Probably not so quick, but let me turn it over to County Manager Joe Kirby next.
Good morning, Commissioners. I do have a quick update, and that is just a reminder to everyone that our monthly Airport Advisory Board meeting is this Wednesday night, April 9th at 5 p.m. at Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Mr. Kirby. And next we have our County Attorney, Kim Sorrells.
No updates today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Well, with that, we will adjourn our meeting at 11:10, and in 15 minutes, we will head on up to the 5th floor for briefing items. So we will see you up there at, my mind is blanking now, and I've had plenty of coffee this morning, at 11:25. Is that correct? Okay. Nice, good. Confirm we can do 11:30.
Well,
Need to
it's
get more
said
coffee.
on there that 11:30.
Oh, 11:30 start. I think we can roll over if we're all there on time, Commissioner Kerr.
We're 5 minutes.
We'll see you upstairs. Thanks so much.